First of all, my questions to Gareth. Gareth, here we are on the eve of another semi-final. The public is saying your teams are as unpredictable as Pep Guardiola, but you have the faith of a nation. How does that sound?
Well, we're very excited about the game, that's for sure. And we know that we're going to have tremendous support throughout the country, so that's a great feeling for us. I think we're ready for the game. I think the players are ready. They've got tremendous experience now themselves, having been in this situation before. So I think our preparation's been calm, and we know we're playing a really good opponent. We knew that before the autumn. We knew even more so after the games in the autumn. So it's going to be a really, really tight game, I think, and I think an exciting game for everybody.
Also, Saka was injured for the last encounter. Can you give us a full update of your squad? And you have an option now of a back four or back three after such a convincing win. How big a dilemma is it, whether you change tactics, how you evolve this side once again, or could you actually keep the same team?
Well, we've got, at the moment, we've got everybody available. We have got one or two checks to make tonight. In terms of the system, I think over the last 3 years, we've always been flexible with our tactical approach. We always have to try to pick the right approach for the opponent. Denmark have been changing during matches, so they've got real fluidity with their selection. And we'll have to be aware of that during the game. I think the players are aware of that, and we've got players that make good decisions on the field now. They've got experience of coming up against different systems. They know how to counter those systems, and they know where to find the spaces. So it's great because we've been working together for quite a long time now, that we understand our own patterns of play, and it means that there's a consistency in the way that we operate, really.
Harry, there's going to be extra fans in there, the greatest stadium capacity we've seen since the start of this pandemic. What do you hear in that dressing room? And we know in the past, and Pep Guardiola meant it as a compliment when he talked of a Harry Kane team, but I want you to tell me what you see in that dressing room, position for position, the men going out in this semi-final and their capability of booking a place in a final.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got a fantastic squad, not just the team that play, everyone who's involved, everyone who's been with us throughout the journey. And obviously we've had great clean sheets in this tournament. Our aim is to try and get another one tomorrow night, of course. We've got great options all over the pitch. We've got great competition for places all over the pitch. So it gives the manager a great headache to have, and whoever's called upon on the day will go out there and do a job for the team. So, I mean, like I said before the tournament, we have a very strong squad, but it's about performing on the match days. And obviously there's a lot of talk going into this semi-final, and it's a chance for us to obviously go one step further than what we did in Russia in 2018. So it's a great opportunity for us to go and achieve that.
Kasper Schmeichel says he has the greatest respect for you. There's nothing that he can teach his teammates about coming up against you, because everyone knows what a world-class striker you are. But he was asked what he felt of us singing "It's Coming Home" in England, and he said, well, it hasn't. You've never won the European Championship, Harry. What's your response to that?
Yeah, well, obviously we have a great opportunity to do it this year. We're not taking Denmark lightly by any means. We know they're a very tough team. They've got some great players, and they're obviously a great unit of a team as well. So, yeah, he's right in terms of that it hasn't come home in this competition for us. But, yeah, we're in a great position where we're 2 games away. So it's important that our focus is on tomorrow night and about us and what we can do. And we know if we can get it right, then it should be enough to get us over the line.
A question both to you and to Gareth for me to finish. You will put a special presentation, a shirt that you're going to hand over to Christian. For you personally, what will that mean, that he won't be in the stadium with you, that he's not with his team in the training ground? And Gareth, why was that important for England to send that message?
Yeah, obviously I'm good friends with Chris, and yeah, of course it'll be sad to not see him there. He's a big part of their success over the years, and of course it was a terrible thing that happened to him. The main thing is that he's doing well, and he's obviously recovering well, and I'm sure he'll be rooting for Denmark more than he'll be rooting for me, for sure. So yeah, of course there'll be a presentation just to show our support from obviously all of us here at England. But of course, yeah, it'd be a shame that he's not there with his team.
Yeah, I think on behalf of all of us, we obviously were watching when it all happened and unfolded, and I think everybody was moved and worried and anxious about what we were seeing. So it's brilliant to hear that he's recovering well, and I think, given the fact as well, he played in England and was such a impressive player and person in the Premier League. I think even more so, we wanted to have that recognition for him and his family.
Thanks, Carrie. Next to Simon Peach, Press Association.
Firstly, good luck tomorrow. It's just a quick one on the back of Casper Hillman's press conference. He suggested that there's a lot of pressure on England, that it's a situation they could take advantage of, having so many fans here, but also that expectation. Just wondered how you do deal with that, because that obviously is a thing that you are having to deal with.
Well, I mean, we've had expectation during the whole tournament, and I think we've dealt with that really well in the opening game, for example, and in the game with Germany. But we've never been to a final, so the pressure is what you choose it to be, really. I think it's a motivating thing. It's a challenge for us. If we were a country that had won 5 titles and we had to match what had gone before, it might feel differently, but we're not. Denmark have won it, so maybe there's more pressure on Denmark to replicate that, but it's not the way we're viewing the game. We know it's about performing on the day. We know that we've got to prepare in the best possible way, and we believe we have. It's a quick turnaround between the matches, and 2 very good teams, so we're looking forward to the game.
And just a quick question for Harry on a similar theme. How much are you feeling the weight of expectation heading into this match, and are you embracing it and enjoying it?
Yeah, I think whenever you're an England player stepping out into a major tournament, every game is a high-pressure situation. I spoke after the Germany game about the pressure that was on us as a team to perform and the expectation, and we come through that well. And then, of course, the Ukraine game, the further you go, obviously we was expected to win that game, but you still have to go out there and perform under that pressure. So it's part and parcel of major tournament football. Obviously a lot of us have been dealing with it at club level as well, in Champions League finals, semi-finals, cup finals. So yeah, the squad's obviously probably more experienced than what it was back in 2018. So it's a chance for us to go out there and prove it. We can obviously talk as much as we want, but the bottom line is we've got to go out there and perform, and yeah, we've got to go and be free tomorrow night and enjoy it, but of course have a real focus on trying to get through to the final.
Thanks, Simon. Alex Howell, BBC Sport.
This one's for Gareth. Hi, Gareth. With the Nations League and the World Cup, this is the 3rd semi-final in 3 years. Is it getting more normal to prepare for these occasions?
Well, it definitely feels different this time, in that the first time around, the World Cup was a very emotional journey for us. We hadn't won a knockout game for 10 years or something like that, and the night with Colombia where we won that knockout game, we won a penalty shootout, was highly emotional. Then we had the quarter-final with Sweden, which again, first time in a semi-final for 35 years or whatever. So it has felt different this time, in that we expected ourselves to get to this point. We've had that internal aim, but we've been, not celebrating the victories in quite the same way. We've moved on to the next challenge quickly, and it was the same after the game in Rome. Important that we acknowledged our fans out there who were brilliant, and it was great to see the number of fans that we had in the stadium. But our focus was very quickly on the game against Denmark.
Thank you. And just one for Harry, please. The former Denmark manager compared you to Cristiano Ronaldo, the level of your finishing. Just wondering what you made of that.
Yeah, no, that's high praise to obviously receive. I spoke before about Ronaldo and Messi and the way they took football to almost another level in terms of their goal scoring ability and their performances year in, year out. So whenever you're mentioned in the same breath as one of those, it means you're doing something well. So yeah, of course I appreciate that, and that'd only give me more confidence going forward.
Thanks, Alex. Lars Klaus, BT Sport.
Yes, thank you. My question is for Harry Kane. Hi, Harry. Christian Eriksen have been invited to Wembley on Sunday by UEFA today. What would it mean to you if you could have a chance to see Christian and say hello after what happened early on the tournament?
Yeah, no, of course. I said early after it happened. Of course, I texted him and wished him well. But yeah, I look forward to seeing him and catching up with him. So of course, it'd be nice if England are playing in the final and I can catch up with him after hopefully a happy day. But no, of course, you know, like I said, I'm good friends with Christian and his family as well. So yeah, whether he decides to come or not, of course, I hope to catch up with him soon. And like I say, from my point of view, I'm just glad that he's recovering well, and just hope he continues on that path and until we do meet again.
All right, and one last question for you too, Harry. How much have you been texting with Christian and maybe his family since the game against Finland in Copenhagen?
Yeah, I mean, I texted him after it happened. He texted me back, obviously, a few days later. Just a quick message. I know, obviously, my wife is friends with his wife as well, so I know they've been in contact. So. Yeah, of course, it's a lot has happened for him and his family as well. So, yeah, I don't want to bombard him with messages. He knows he's got a place in my heart and obviously all of our hearts around the footballing world. So, yeah, it's important that he just rests and recovers now, not just physically but mentally as well. Obviously, it was a big, challenging time that he went through. So. Like I said, I hope to catch up with him as soon as possible.
Thank you. Next to Patrick Strodel-Peterson, TV2.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Question for you, Harry Kane. Well, you did not manage to to beat Denmark in the Nations League in the 2 games you played against them.
Sorry, dropped off there. If you can re-raise your hand, we'll bring you back in. We'll briefly go to Jack Pitt-Brooke of The Athletic next.
That left foot volley that you hit in the Ukraine game that forced the corner that Henderson scored from, is that the kind of thing that you would only take on and go for if you're feeling confident and on top of your game?
No, not really, if I'm honest. I don't need a second invitation to shoot, that's for sure. I'd always do what I feel is best for the team on the pitch at the right time. So I've said before, I'm always confident in my ability to score and to hit the target the majority of the time. So, yeah, whether I've scored or not scored, I've always said the next opportunity is the most important one. So, yeah, it was obviously a nice contact. Keeper made a good saves, but thankfully Jordan managed to get his goal from the resulting corner.
And just a quick one for Gareth. Gareth, after 5 games, 5 clean sheets, it feels like everything's gone more or less to plan on the pitch so far. Are you at all worried, or what have you done to help the players in case something does finally not go to plan tomorrow night, whether it's a goal conceded or a red card or something like that?
Yeah, we are always talking about those sorts of situations, and not everything has gone to plan, that's for certain, but we do talk those things through because you have to stay calm in those situations, and we've been in those sorts of situations before. We've had to deal with goals conceded. We've had to deal with late equalisers or going back to when we played in Scotland a few years ago, 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go, 2-1 down with 2 minutes to go. So the team are resilient in those moments. They know they have to stay calm. Our first game in the World Cup, we won in the 91st minute, I think, and we'd talked about it then. So you do have to come through all those things as a team on the journey to winning something. And I think the core group of our players have been through that, and they understand how we need to be in those moments.
Thanks, Jack. Patrick at TV2, we're back with you now.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's try again. Question for Harry Kane. You did not manage to beat Denmark in the Nations League in the last 2 meetings you've had against them. What do you fear most about the Danes? Is it the togetherness, the team spirit, also after what happened to Christian Eriksen, or is it some actual strengths on the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, like I've said before, they're a great team. They have some great individual players, but I think their biggest strength is them as a whole. Their technical ability, their mentality as a team. They're a tough side to break down, and they don't concede many goals. They don't. They score in a lot of games. So they pose a lot of good qualities. But of course, obviously, the 2 games in the Nations League were difficult. We was down to 10 men in one of those games, which made that game really difficult from our point of view. But we played well after that, and we reacted well after that. We just didn't have enough to obviously get a result on that evening. So that's stuff we can learn from and hopefully adapt from. Like we said, we're expecting a tough game, but we have enough belief in this squad and enough ability in this squad that we feel if we get it right on the night, then we should be able to win.
Also a question for Gareth Southgate. Well, obviously you've had a bad experience at Wembley at the Euro semi. How much of a revenge is it for you tomorrow to go back there and maybe could bring your team to a final?
It's not about what it is for me. It's about what it is for the players, all of the staff, and for our country. So we don't have as good a football history as we like to believe sometimes, and these players are making massive strides and breaking barriers all the time, and we've broken barriers in this tournament, and we have another opportunity to do that tomorrow. We've never been to a European Championship final, so we can be the first, which is really exciting for everybody. We respect the Danes. I obviously am old enough to remember them winning it and watched that tournament, and I watched them going back to the World Cup in 1986. Was the first Danish team I remember, with Preben Elkjær and Laudrup and Søren Lerbu and Jesper Olsen. So I've always been a fan of the players that Denmark have produced. I think their football is incredible, the individual players, but also the teams they've produced for the size of the population that they have. So I have some good friends there involved in football in Denmark, and I have great respect for their system.
Thanks, Patrick. James Robson, Evening Standard.
Hi, Gareth. This is obviously a very young squad you've got here, and you've talked about this being a process, but at the same time, this is now back-to-back semi-finals, 3 semi-finals even. I wonder what that balance is with you on 2 fronts, really. On the one hand, is this just the start and there's better to come that we should be expecting, but also getting into the players that these chances don't come along very often, despite what's happened in the past few years?
No, you're absolutely right. I think we believe that this squad can get even stronger as they gain even more experience. But you can never determine in tournaments how things are going to play out. There are lots of random events that happen in tournaments, and when you get to the latter stages, you recognise that these are the moments you have to capitalise on. So we're English football, in terms of the young players that are being produced by our academies and the experiences they're having, the success of our junior teams is breeding confidence, and the young players that are here, it's great for them to experience a successful run in a tournament where they're going to realise that for them will be the benchmark, and that should inspire them in the future as well. But for this team, you never get the same group of players together again. That's the way it works. So for this particular team, this is their opportunity, our opportunity, and we want to make the most of that.
When you took over, we know with the state England were in at the time after the last Euros. Did you believe that you could be a trophy-winning manager with England? You've spoken just a few moments about we think our record's better than it is, or think we've been a better team than we have been in reality. So anyone coming into that job to actually believe you could win a trophy as an England manager, that a lot of people probably think you're out of your mind, really.
Yeah, I think
so. Did you?
We've always tried to build step by step, because you can talk about winning things, but until the team have evidence of what's possible, then it's hollow, really. And at the start, how could we really have confidence in what we might do in Russia, for example, when we hadn't been regularly beating any of the top teams? We had lost away in France before that. We'd lost to Germany in friendlies. So the evidence wasn't there to build genuine confidence. You always have hope because you've got good players, but there were a lot of hurdles to overcome. This team now have the experience of Russia, and since then wins in Spain, a win against Germany the other week, a win against Belgium in the Nations League. So we're getting more consistent in those big matches, and therefore there is more evidence and more belief, and we know that there's still a step to go to be consistently beating those top teams and going on the sort of run that Denmark have only lost to Belgium, and the game with Finland, which was obviously a unique experience in the last couple of years. Italy are on a phenomenal run. Spain are on a tremendous run. So, to win things and to be at the top level, you've got to be winning those games and winning them consistently, and that's got to be our continuing aim.
Thanks, James. Martin Schmidt, bold.dk.
Thank you very much. First, a question for Gareth. Denmark has played several different formations during the tournament, and they have changed quite successfully during games. What do you make of the coach, Kasper Hjulmand, in terms of tactical abilities and him as a coach in general?
Yeah, well, I knew about him before he got the job because his work at Nordsjælland, and of course he's big friends with Thomas Frank, who has done a brilliant job here at Brentford. So I knew that his teams were always tactically adaptable, and they've done that in this tournament, not only from match to match, but during the matches as well. And they have versatile players to be able to do that. Obviously, Andreas Christensen is the main one who's been involved in those tactical changes. So that's modern football now. That's high-level football. It's teams. You write a formation down at the beginning of the game, but teams are rarely in that formation with or without the ball. They press aggressively, they go man for man in situations, they build in different patterns, and players now are far more adaptable than years ago in all countries, I think.
Thank you.
Yes, and a quick one for Harry as well. Obviously, you know Pierre-Emile Højbjerg really well, and he praised you a lot at the Danish press conference a while ago. So I would like to ask you, what can you say about him as a player, and what development have you seen from him?
Yeah, no, Pierre's a great player, a great leader in our team, obviously at club level as well. So he's been great ever since he's come to the club. He's a real good voice, real good vocal person you can talk to on and off the pitch. So and obviously his qualities on the pitch show for themselves. He breaks up the game really well. He's great on the ball. So yeah, of course we know each other well. I'm sure we'll have a good battle tomorrow night. But yeah, overall I think he's a great player, and obviously it's been great to play with him over the last year or so.
Thanks, Martin. We've got time for two more, starting with James Ollie, ESPN.
Hi to you both. A question for Gareth. In the analysis that you've done looking at the semi-final against Croatia in 2018 and then in the Nations League against Holland, is there anything that you think the team needs to do differently to actually take that next step and get to a final?
Well, two very different experiences for us, really. The Croatia game, obviously, the furthest we'd been, and I think we would acknowledge that we could have made changes during that game to improve the situation, but equally, we weren't as brave with the ball once we'd gone ahead. You know, we went ahead so early in the game, and so I think the tournament played out differently for us. Fatigue became a factor definitely in the second half. We'd had extra time in one of our matches prior to that, and we'd had a very consistent team. So we're in a slightly different place in terms of the depth of the squad and the strength of the squad now. And the game with Holland again was bizarre for us because we had 8 boys in the Champions League final 3 days before the game. So our preparation for that was really all over the place, and was again with that game very tight. We were half of Jesse Lingard's foot away from being 2-1 up with 8 minutes to play, and we made errors through fatigue and extra time. So there were two different experiences, but it's given us the understanding of preparing for those big matches and what they feel like, and I think that's part of the journey sometimes teams have to go through. I remember Germany got to a couple of semi-finals before they finally cracked it, and that's got to be our aim now as a team.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. And we'll finish with Paul Ferdinand from Extra Bladet.
Yes, hello, and this question is for Harry Kane. You have a particularly good track record, even for you, against Kasper Schmeichel when playing Leicester in the Premier League. Is that something you can take into tomorrow's game?
No, I don't think so. I think every game is different. Obviously, totally different environment, totally different team from his point of view as well. So, yeah, for me, whoever's in goal, whoever I'm playing against, I'd always back myself first and foremost. So, yeah, sometimes as a player, you have teams, or you have moments where you're scoring against one individual or one team in particular. But yeah, from my point of view, it's not something I think about too much. Obviously, like I said, it's a different game, a totally different situation. Hopefully, from my point of view, I can carry that on and score a couple more. But yeah, of course, I'm just focused on doing my job for the team, and hopefully that's enough to get us through.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll conclude the media conference there. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.